Margaret Chen had worked as a head janitor at Vantex Pharmaceuticals for 22 years, and in all that time, she had never asked for a single favor from anyone in that gleaming tower of glass and steel. She came in at 5 in the morning, she left at 2 in the afternoon, and she did her job with the kind of quiet dignity that most people in expensive suits never noticed. Her daughter, 17-year-old Lily, had been coming to the office every Friday after school for the past month, sitting in the maintenance closet doing her homework. While she waited for her mother to finish her shift, Lily was sharp, observant, the kind of girl who noticed everything and said very little, and it was precisely that quality that would change the fate of the most powerful man in the building. The annual shareholders' dinner was being held on the 42nd floor that evening, and the catering staff had been buzzing around the executive conference room since noon. Lily had wandered down the hallway to find the restroom when she heard voices coming from the small preparation room. Adjacent to the banquet hall, the door left carelessly ajar. She would have kept walking, except that the tone of the voices made her stop. There was a sharpness to them, a nervous urgency that did not sound like ordinary dinner preparation. She pressed herself against the wall and peered through the gap in the door. 2 men in dark jackets stood over a tray of crystal glasses, and one of them was carefully tilting a small glass vial over the central goblet, the one set apart from the others on an elevated silver stand, the one that Lily had heard the catering manager refer to earlier as the CEO's glass. The liquid from the vial was colorless, disappearing into the drink without a trace. The man capped the vial, slipped it into his inside jacket pocket, and said quietly to his companion, "He won't even taste it. By the time the dinner is over, it will look like a heart attack." Lily did not breathe. She did not move. She waited until both men stepped into the adjoining hallway and disappeared around the corner, and then she ran. She ran back to the maintenance closet, where her mother was restocking supplies, and grabbed her arm so hard that Margaret dropped the mop she was holding. "Mama," Lily whispered, her voice shaking but her eyes absolutely certain. "I just watched someone poison Mr. Hargrove's drink. I saw them put something in his glass. We have to tell him right now." Margaret looked at her daughter for exactly 2 seconds, reading her face the way only a mother can, and she did not hesitate. She had no badge, no title, no appointment, and no reason that the 42nd floor security guard would ever let her through. But Margaret Chen had been cleaning this building for 22 years, and she knew every service corridor, every back stairwell, every door that the executives never used because they didn't have to. She took her daughter's hand and she moved. They came through the kitchen service entrance, just as the guests were beginning to be seated, and Margaret walked directly to the nearest senior staff member, a young woman with a headset, and said in a calm and absolute voice, "I need to speak to Mr. Hargrove immediately. His life is in danger. I am not joking, and I am not leaving until someone takes me to him." There was resistance, confusion, almost laughter, but Lily stepped forward and said, "I watched 2 men in dark jackets pour something from a vial into his glass 5 minutes ago. The glass on the elevated silver stand. If you serve that drink and he dies, you will have to live with the fact that you could have stopped it." Something in her voice, steady and unafraid and completely without performance, made the woman with the headset go pale. Within 3 minutes, Lily and Margaret were standing in front of Richard Hargrove, CEO of Vantex Pharmaceuticals, a tall, silver-haired man who had the kind of face that was used to being in control of every room he entered. He listened without interrupting. He looked at Lily when she finished and said, "Show me." The glass was removed before a single guest touched it. The liquid was tested. The 2 men were identified by security footage within the hour, both of them hired 3 weeks earlier, through a shell company connected to a rival board member, who had been quietly building a case for hostile acquisition. The police were called, the dinner was canceled, and Richard Hargrove, who had shaken hands with presidents and closed billion-dollar deals in that very room, sat down across from a janitor and her teenage daughter in the emptied banquet hall and said, with more sincerity than he had felt in years, "You saved my life tonight, both of you, and I will not forget that." He didn't. He funded Lily's entire college education, established a building-wide employee recognition program in Margaret's name, and made sure that every single person in that tower of glass and steel learned The story of the woman who came in at 5 in the morning and the daughter, who saw what no one else bothered to look for. If you believe that courage has nothing to do with what you wear or where you work, like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner Stories.